Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journey without the constraints of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, struggles, and transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth and to be moved, to be inspired, and discover that you're not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle. I am a co-host here. I am an aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus. I'm also an educator, so I teach other people how to do it too. And I am here with my co-host.
What's up, everybody? My name is Graham Duval. I am the owner of Valued Productions. My company works to produce and implement video marketing strategies proven to make you more successful with your business, turning strangers into clients. I am a co-host here on the Unfiltered Path podcast, joined today with my other co-hosts.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker. I help my clients go from survival mode to thrival with the power of their mindset. Looking different for everyone. I'm one of your co-hosts here on the Unfiltered Path podcast. And we are joined here today with our amazing guest, Miss Kimmy. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, it's an honor to be here today. I am Kimberly Brown, owner of Kimberly Helene Health and Fitness, LLC, and I inspire women through virtual personal training, health and life coaching to build a better body, to lose weight, gain muscle, and finally feel good in the body that you have. And by doing so, you increase the quality of your life and you live a life you love.
Amen to that, sister. Amen to that, sister.
Yeah.
Kimmy, literally do what I do, but in the physical realm, which all uses your mindset because everything uses your mindset. And so you are such an inspiration to me because if there is one thing I am not an expert in, it is not physical health. So I love you. I love the connection to you that I have. I use your services personally, and you are freaking awesome and taking me to my next level of health. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor, like I said. And I love what I do.
Yeah, it shows. You can feel your passion. You feel your passion. We are talking about that passion and how it kind of drives us right before the podcast started recording. Tell us a little bit about your passion for this and why are you driven every day, not only for your own health and your own fitness, but to also help others achieve that next level for themselves.
Yeah. Gosh, well, I'm driven every day. Honestly, I'm going to start off with a story. When I was very young, my dad, he was not very active, um, didn't really watch what he ate, and he was diagnosed at a pretty young age with a very serious cancer. And I observed this as a young child. And for my dad, instead of looking at the cancer saying this is a death sentence, because he had lost both his parents to cancer, right? He said, I am going to fight this, and this is how I'm going to fight this cancer. He says, I'm going to get strong. I'm going to go ahead and do the treatments, but I'm going to get strong in my body as I go through the chemo. And I watched my dad totally transform his body in his 40s to a higher level of health. He started walking, he started lifting weights when he could. He worked with a nutritionist, and at a young age, 6 months later, his cancer was in remission. I walked into the kitchen. I did not know this, but my father was crying at the kitchen table. And I, as a little girl, I'm thinking, well, first of all, I'd never seen my dad cry. And I'm thinking, this is not good. And I said, Daddy, are you all right? And he said, yeah, with tears going down his face. He goes, I'm more than all right. He goes, I'm cancer free and I'm going to live. And from that day forward, I remember looking, we had a mirror in our living room. And I remember walking into the living room, looking at myself in the mirror. And I said to myself, I'm going to be strong, just like my dad. And I started at 10 years old figure skating, and that was the beginning of my journey. So why do I do what I do today? Because literally health and fitness on one hand saved my father's life, right? Treatment also helped, but it was the health and fitness that gave my father longevity. And we have to take care of this body that we have. We are only given one body. And it's how we choose to treat this body is how we will walk forward in life, right? And have the energy that we want to have and make positive decisions because, it's a no-brainer. The better we feel, the better decisions we make, the better perception we have of our reality. And the better we are able to deal with life's roadblocks when they come our way. And I saw that with my father. He had two choices. He could have said, I'm going to give up. I'm just going to do treatment. There's nothing else I can do. This is out of my hands. Or he made a conscious decision to say, I'm not going to give up. And I'm going to survive this by taking care of this body. And that's really where it started for me.
Such a beautiful story. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I
that's amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I totally relate with the your body and like how you feel and like making decisions and like I was listening to a book this morning actually and it said a fact that I know that
oh,
and then your brain produces and so yeah it like you actually physically feel better and healthier.
yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, your brain is actually functioning, right? So you're
Yes.
like we can it's a full circle approach when we're heading towards the goals that we're heading towards at the levels that we are, right? And so you can't do just your mindset or just your professional growth. You can't do it's a full circle approach. And so you add your health and you add what you're putting in your body, how you're moving it. Like when you combine all that full circle stuff, that's when you become unstoppable.
That is exactly right. It's when you start to stand in your own power
Mm.
and be able to live to full capacity. And, that's another reason we talked about this a little earlier. Let's talk about capacity, right? Everybody, like, I feel like society minimizes the capacity that we are actually able to function at, right? So when your people are feeling down or depressed or I have to protect my peace, well, if you have to protect your peace, you didn't have it in the first place. Let's really look at that. And by working out and taking care of your health, you are rewiring your brain so that you can function at a higher capacity. So that when you hit the difficult times, you have the rewiring to be able to manage those difficult times and still continue to go forward. For example, you could have a sick parent, you could have a child that's struggling in school, you could have a financial issue that has just really brought you down. But when you function at a higher capacity, those things are not going to bring you down. You're going to be able to look at those things and say, I'm going to get through this. And not only am I going to get through this, I'm going to get through this feeling great and still be able to go to work and still be able to go to the gym and still be able to walk the dog and not go into that space of I feel tired or I don't feel well or anxiety. Anxiety gets so many people, especially now in this day and age. But by taking care of our body and our mind, we're able to just function at that higher level of energy.
So true.
Oh, man, I'm taking that quote that you said, if you have to protect your peace, let's be real. You didn't have it in the first place.
Nope.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Yep.
I think we have to make decisions that are in alignment with who we are now versus who we were. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes that can appear like you're protecting your peace, but in reality, you're just kind of rearranging your environment. I love your story. I have a very similar story. It's a powerful why. Um, I too, like I took care of my family when they were going through chemo when I was in high school, and they passed away, and then my mom survived. So, in that, the one major shift was the perception of body and the mindset um, that I believe truly helped. And then in some research from grief, you find the truth, right? So then you find the truth about food and these things that we can control and that are taking over our mind and making us, even on a spiritual level, it's like you got to work out to tell your meat suit that you run the show, or your meat suit will run the show.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I love what you just said too, Danielle. We learn through the grief and that is so true.
So true.
Oh,
Love that.
grief gives the obsessive research that people need to level up.
Yeah.
Alchemizing, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be sadness, but usually our story is rooted in our why is somewhere sad originally.
You level
And
up through the grief.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
it's true.
You know, we talk about a lot of like these phrases that we say here. I feel like it's been like what 8 minutes that we've been recording. I think 1,000 here. But you level up through the grief. That's what it's for, right? But so here, like with the people I work with, and we know that like roughly only 96, only 4% of society thinks the way that we just said. You level up through the grief. They actually let grief take them down. And I think grief is much more than when someone dies. I think grief is the feelings that we have when we have significant change in our life, or we have to let go of a certain part of us or a certain person or a certain thing that was like sort of that identifying, it was our identity really in a way. And so like we have actually opportunities to level up through that grief every day. Grief is
All
much
the time.
than just
Yeah.
lose someone. But I did the same thing. And I guess I never really looked at it like that until now. But when my mom died at 45 years old of alcohol addiction, is like I level up through that freaking grief. It took me a long time. It took me 7 years
Yeah.
to level up through that grief. But that's when I then decided to become sober because I'm like, that was like that last missing puzzle piece for that grief and that closure of like making that final really hard decision to stay sober when we live in a society that normalizes one thing, and that is to cope with alcohol. So I love that. And that's how we become generational shifters, right? So like Kimmy and Graham and Danielle and I, like we're all here to help you become that generational shifter. I was just having this conversation with someone this morning is if we look at our purpose here in life is to help not only ourselves become generational shifters, but help the people we work with become generational shifters. We're making a significant shift in the universe every single day in the work that we do. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy, but it's so true.
It's so powerful. It makes you badass,
powerful.
right?
It's so
I know that
powerful.
I'm not working for myself. Like there's a higher hand at it. And that actually what keeps me going is because I know that it's so much bigger than me, and that there's this, a larger source at it, a greater impact. And I love knowing that about my work. But I've also been there where you're hustling cell phones, and there's no real spiritual gain. But I worked in the cell phone industry for a while, and it really fueled a lot of my art passions in my 20s, right? Like I'm taking care of myself, but I'm still an artist. So navigating that, I really leaned on that line of work, but there's no higher hand at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I got me where I needed to be. So I think all is important, but it's really nice knowing that I'm in a position where I'm truly serving my experience and then humanity as a whole through not so great experiences.
I think it's so important. Go for it, Graham.
I was gonna say I love what you were saying, Danielle, about how you there's have it as the higher purpose and like basically turn it over to your higher purpose or higher self or oneness, whatever you want to call it, that higher level. I was on a coaching call yesterday, and like we were talking about this exact concept where like, you turn everything over to that. Like, oh, my bank account is God's bank account. And so, or like this client is God's client. And like when you can do that and you turn, I'm just using the term God because it's easy to say, oneness,
Yeah.
universe, whatever
Yeah,
your
yeah.
higher level of thing is, you turn that over, and that's when you can step into that energy. That is where things really start to connect, because it's like it really isn't us, it's that higher thing that is it's their bank account. Like, thank you, God, this income, whatever it is. Love that. It's so prevalent right
Yeah,
now.
it's definitely what I hear, Graham, is coming from a place of gratitude, right? And when I hear that as well, it's a gratitude to also be in a space to challenge yourself, to do things you've never challenged before. Danielle, I'm sure you've experienced this through your sport. Right now, I'm training for a triathlon at almost 57 years old. I didn't know how to swim. I didn't know how to ride a bike. And I can finally say at 57, I can. So how has this helped me in my personal and my professional life? I am no longer diving into that self-doubt with my business. I'm not diving into that self-doubt with my relationships. I have more confidence in trying new things because I'm trying new things physically. And it overlaps. And movement is medicine, right? I mean, that's what it does for us. Medicine, as far as, like you said, Graham, increasing the endorphins in our brain. And here's a little bit of education. When we first wake up, our cortisol is the highest level throughout the day. And sometimes that's why people feel anxious or rushed or maybe a little depressed, because that level, again, is high. So by training in the morning and getting the cortisol down and the endorphins up, that sets you up for success to start the day with a mindset that is in tune, not only with your body, but in tune with what you have to do. You've literally rewired your brain to say, I'm not going down that anxiety road first thing this morning. I'm taking control of this, and I'm going to start my day the way I want to feel, right? And that's, by training. But I just had this conversation the other day. Somebody had asked me, what is the biggest lesson you've learned for training for this triathlon? And I've learned not to allow fear in other areas of my life stop me from doing what I want to do. And that's huge.
Story. I love that. Scream it from the rooftop so more people can hear you. I think athleticism in adulthood is like a low key mission of mine. And whenever that's aligned, I will put my boots on and my big girl panties and I will like stand up for it because it's just such a mindset we have. Like we pour our money into it's not wrong, but we put so much into our children and we set boundaries that it ends at college level usually, and that's just such like a negative mindset to living. If you think you can't play your favorite sport in your 30s, that's depressing. And like people grieve their sports when they leave school, and my oldest Arielist is 53 and I just am like, girl, I just want to introduce her to everyone, like just walk around with her and just have people meet her, or like my student assistant, because and then myself, I'm 39 and I'm flying in the air like regularly and teaching it, and it's quite incredible because I didn't foresee that for myself even when I was at my highest height, like that even then I had a limit from that mindset that's from childhood. We need to switch it up. Adulthood athleticism is a thing. The more work we have for athleticism in the like 20s and 30s, the more sustainable it'll be afterwards, where it's like, oh, but we just do this anyways.
Yeah, and Danielle, do you think that society kind of instills this in us? Like once you hit 30s or once you hit 40, you're no longer an athlete,
I think
right?
it
I mean, we hear
works.
that with sports. We hear that with Olympic athletes, right? And I feel like that perspective trickles in like, well,
It's
now
the
I'm in my
work
50s, so I
agenda.
can't do what I did in my 20s, right?
It's the work agenda.
Yeah.
If you have a nursing schedule, when are you really working out? Let's be real.
But
And
that's a
then you have
mindset thing,
kids,
though.
and
What
then
did you say? That's a mindset? If that's how
yeah,
you, yeah,
but I mean, in literal time,
yeah,
it's taught to us to be workers. I think that if, in my opinion, and then we're pouring money into our children only and not ourselves. And that too is just like, and then we're overstretching, overworking the body at a young age, so then it's even harder to enjoy it through the 20s and 30s, right? Because a lot of damage is happening too young in some type of rush. You know, like look at gymnasts, they're not done at 30, neither are models. So there's just like this mindset shift that definitely has to happen. And I think it starts with athleticism ending at school, or that's the only time we invest in it. No, like ABA teams, adult athletic teams, even things that aren't technically sports, performance-based art and work. That people will fill the roles if they're there.
yep. I love it. I love it. And I
Yeah.
just want to share one thing real quick. Like all of my clients, no matter what age they are, I'm like, you're an athlete. You come to me, you can do this workout twice a week, 3 times a week. Hands down, you're an athlete. Like it doesn't matter. We're all
It's true.
athletes.
Do
We're
you
Yeah.
know
all athletes.
Yeah. Do you know how empowering it is to be told multiple times a week that you are an athlete?
Yeah.
Especially because I was never an athlete. Like I didn't do any sports at all. Like I was not that at all. And I think the more that we normalize these like sort of transitions of life, like these next chapters, the more that it will be normalized to go from college doing these things to then continuing those things at the next level of your life versus like it has to be MIA in that next chapter. And that's society. I mean, you're right, Danielle, 1000%. And you're also right, Kimmy, 1000%, which is society teaches us that we come last. We don't do these things. We work and then we're tired. It teaches us that we're tired, right? That America runs on Duncan. Well, what does America run on Duncan mean? That we're
Yeah.
exhausted and we need coffee, which
Morning,
We
I'm
need
not lying.
caffeine. Yeah.
I love coffee. I'm not saying that coffee is
Right. Say it though, girl. That's
saying
the
that.
truth. That's the truth. It's the truth. It's so the truth. Yeah, but it's such a mindset. So you're in such a great position in your life and world because it really is the mindset that we have on athleticism.
Yeah.
When that mindset shift will create opportunity as, adults, for that mindset. And then the next generation won't see the difference. Like the generation that's living right now that's like out there in the workforce don't know what it's like not to have technology. And like, so they're living in a totally different mindset. So we could do the same thing with athleticism. Easy.
I think we could do the same thing with the way that we see life too. Like that's why I created the Aligned to Entrepreneur program is like I want to teach business owners that you can have multiple successful businesses and not work yourself to death. Like because we have businesses and entrepreneurs giving up their businesses because they're working so much and they're grinding and they're hustling and they feel like that's the only way that they can have success. And then when they reach that success, they have to go to the next level because they think that that's how they sustain it when it's like that's not true. And I think the more that we come out of that mindset, the more it then offers time to do things like your health and fitness and getting outside and getting grounded and going into the woods and like enjoying life with your kids and all of those things because it is a mindset. It's a mindset that is instilled in us. And if you're not in corporate America, it's one of the last mindsets that goes. It's
I think to be successful is self-development. Like I remember looking at when people would call a credit card company, they'd have to spend 50 grand or more to get me on the phone. This was a job of mine that I had. And one of the things I was super interested in is like, what are these people spending their money on? Like, what are these? And it's themselves and their family. And they know their benefits more than I did. Like they knew their travel points, they knew their rewards, they knew their money, they knew what they were spending it on, they knew the value of spending it on themselves. And it was just like they had coaches, they had private instructors, they have like all these things. I remember being like, wow, that was like the biggest like truth ever. I was like, wow, so it really is. And you hear these people and they'll say it to us. Like their morning schedule that's probably to only themselves is what really runs the company. And
No,
you
they
know?
And you know what those people also have in common is that they spend the money on themselves, whether it's 5 or 10 grand on a certain, professional development, knowing that it comes back to them twofold, threefold, 4 times.
Yes.
Because
Mm,
that's the
true.
mindset. Because like a lot of people, will think about, okay, spending 5K on a personal development program. Sure, they look at that as fear, as scarcity, and they're like, oh, I'll give you my credit card, but I don't really have the money. What they're not focusing on, this is what I teach right from the get-go, is that is going to come back to you not only monetary, but in so many other ways that is literally going to make you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars throughout your life when you invest that money today.
Absolutely. And the other part of all of this is there's accountability there. And that's why so many people stay in their comfort zone. Like right now, we have a crisis in our society where people stay in their comfort zone. But by investing in these programs for personal growth or your business or personal training, there's accountability there. And I don't know about you guys, but one thing that I've learned through the course of my life is that it's hard to do these changes alone. Like you need a team, you need a coach, you need a business coach, you need a trainer for a little while, because when you are growing personally, you again are rewiring the brain. You're creating new systems. You're revamping what your daily structure looks like. And yeah, you can do it maybe for a little while, but then generally 99% of people fall off the ledge and they go back to what they know. And from reading the research with training and fitness, the number one reason why people don't stay engaged for a lifetime is the accountability, you know?
Mm.
And that is huge. What do you guys think about that?
I agree completely. Like giving people a reason to show up for themselves even once a week, it like not only works for that moment, so I know how to train them to get results so they can be happy with what they invested in, but then it sprinkles into their other choices in life. And that's like the fun part, because then they're hiking and then they're doing all these other things. We know how it works. And we get to
Yes.
watch and just be like, yes.
Yeah.
So true. I'm part of a couple programs, and like it has me thinking basically what this conversation is. And like one of the things I heard the other day is like, how can you include, fitness and everything into your like daily work and stuff? And so, one of the things that I'm going to be investing in for myself is I just got a stand up desk. And so I'm going to get one of those treadmills that walks
Oh.
underneath so you can walk and work at the same time. And the statistics for that is like just by adding that little thing, you can lose like so much weight and like get your steps in, just by like incorporating something into something that you're already doing
Yes.
and seeing the results. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, you're
And that's
taking
huge, Grant,
control.
because it does. It starts with walking. And that's
Mm.
what I tell all my clients or people that don't want to invest into personal training. Just get out and walk. That's
Yeah,
where
some
it,
swim, walk, hiking. I always I'll say hammock yoga, even though that's like not what I do. Like I don't like people confusing that, but it is such a tool to get where you want to go, a more intense athleticism. So I'll usually recommend those. But what you did is you told your meat suit you're running the show, and then it'll sprinkle, because then it'll slowly build you the strength that you need. And right then you're always failing in some sense, because you're new, you're a beginner, you're sensitive, you're vulnerable, your nervous system will even tell you not to do it when you should and try to trick you, and you're in this sensitive space. So if you're at home going through that, that for some people is really nice.
yeah,
For
but
me, I make a girl group, so the vibe of my class is like more important to me than the money, than
yeah.
everything else, my own personal existence. There's a vibe, so people feel safe to do what you just said. But by doing it at home, that's very smart. I love that you teach
and
people at home, because
and the thing is the accountability like you're talking about,
yeah.
because like I wouldn't be doing this type of stuff if I wasn't here in a podcast where we're talking about health and fitness, or in other part of personal development accountability programs where we're talking about quantum leaping into the next level, or you know what I mean? And so like you said, it sprinkles into the rest of your areas of your life. And it's like, okay, well, right now, I mean, yeah, I go to the gym and stuff, but like what else can I add into my daily whatever to help with, you know, my meat suit, so to say?
Yeah.
First of all, every
Meat suit.
single time you say meat suit, it literally makes me giggle.
We have to separate ourselves. I say meat suit, I say avatar, so you remember you're a spirit in a vessel. And the more speech I say to help you remember that, it is like when you'll improve the vessel.
Yeah.
But you'll love yourself a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to that the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. And when you remind yourself of that, you're constantly, and this is the mindset shift, is when you ask yourself that with everything that you're doing, you're asking yourself is what level am I doing this? And it's kind of like, that's the accountability right there. I mean, we kind of hold ourselves accountable if we have this vision of who we want to show up as and how we want to show up. It's that constant choice of, you know, you go to grab something to eat, ask yourself, the way I do one thing is the way I do everything. What am I going to do? And that's the question every day. We are faced with so many decisions. Why not be intentional with our decisions?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the shift that takes you from the 96% of America who doesn't think this way to the 4% that do, and then get to that next level. And that's literally the only differences is what we're talking about here.
Yep.
Yeah. I love being an adult athlete. I'm gonna be honest. It can like, so that's where confidence comes from. Like when no one can take it from you, it does, the conversation can change, the room can change, people can change, but like that awareness for me doesn't. And there's something so powerful in that, especially where I had a hard growing up and I had so many like roadblocks and I always felt like, you know what I mean? Just, I don't know. There's a sense of control. Like now I can still live it. I be it. And not only that, but I get paid for my work. So technically I'm a professional athlete all the time.
Yes, you are. And I agree with I love that. I love that, Danielle. And I'll just share a quick story here. You know, I'm just going through a divorce right now. And there was a period of time where it got kind of hostile from the attorneys and the paperwork, and you know how that goes. But when we got to the point of talking about, you know, selling off assets and A, B, and C, and D, I remember that day I sat down and I thought to myself, you know what? They can take away everything. They can take away my home. They can take away my cars. They can take away my jewelry, but I still have my health.
Oh man.
I still have my health,
and
I
still do it again.
be okay. That's the one thing, guys, nobody can take from you is your health.
That's true. That, yeah. And that ability to rebuild that mindset for you to even think that, you know, like that's how people get out of poverty, to know and then not fear it. I love that. I love that story. I'm so sorry for you, but I love that you were able to kind of have that self-awareness for yourself. Yep. And it's so true. That self-love, that self-education, that self-talent, that self-athleticism, like those things are yours, and it will always glow in every room, in every scenario, and will always be rebuilt. Like I had a whole lifestyle, then I had children, and then I was like in this like hole in the wall apartment with 2 kids and nobody really showing me any love. And a year before I was like supposed to be on a talent reality show. So like it was a trip. And it was real, and it took years, and it was so humbling. And I'm glad it happened because now I'm like, oh, I do this. Like I do this. Like, it didn't matter if it was Florida or Maine, or if I have 2 kids, they're doing it too. You know, so love that. Or divorce.
I love that, and I love that, and hopefully our listeners. That's like a great peak to end on. That like. No matter the challenges that you're going through, like if you have your health, and like hopefully this podcast can help you with some of that accountability, you know, show up weekly. We have these conversations to kind of shift that mindset and get in the zone and know like you do have that and you can rebuild whatever it is that is going on, you know, and And so, Kimmy, I appreciate you joining us today and kind of getting this conversation going. It's been absolutely amazing. So again, my name is Graham, owner of Valued Productions. You can find me online at valuedproductions.com. That's VALUD productions.com, or social media at Valued Productions. I'd love to connect if you're looking to grow your business. And joined with my co-host today.
Hey everyone, Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker. If you are listening to us and you are like, man, I need to step into this next level mindset and live a life that these people are talking about, I'm your girl. You can find me at thetrinitybaker.com or on your favorite social media platform. Joined with our co-host.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Ariel Jade. You can find me on arieljade.com or Ariel Jade or Ariel Jade Art on most platforms. I mostly talk about being an aerialist, a mother, and a community member. I happily partnered with the Boys and Girls Club of Southern Maine. So I am creating aerial arts to long last even me for the state of Maine. So I'm so excited for that project. So please follow along for that. And we are here with our guest today.
Hey everybody, I'm Kimmy with Kimberly Helene Health and Fitness, virtual personal trainer, health and life coach, and I am here to help you live the life that you are dreaming of living. And it all starts with your mind, your body, and your spirit. And I teach women how to thrive boldly from the inside out. Kimberly Helene with Kimberly Helene Health and Fitness. You can find me by Kimberly Helene on all the social media platforms. You can also email me at KimberlyHBrown00@gmail.com. And thanks, guys. This has been an absolute pleasure. What an empowering conversation. And Trinity, I'll see you later today.
I love it. That's
Love it.
awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to all our listeners. Make sure that you follow where you listen to all your podcasts. If you're on YouTube, hit the notification bell, subscribe, all that good stuff so you don't miss an episode. And we will see you next week on the Unfiltered Path podcast.
Done. All right, I'm not going to stop recording. We are going to keep recording like we talked about. Kimmy, so exciting. Wow, it was a powerful podcast, my friend. How was it? How do you feel? Yeah, how do you feel?
It was good. Guys, like, I could talk about this all day long. Like, I love it. I love that you guys just embrace the whole conversation with mind, spirit, body. And it's a conversation that I feel is so important for people to hear, especially how our world is changing, society is changing. A lot of people right now are dealing with a lot of depression and anxiety. That's what's going on in the United States right now. And so this is, so many people need to hear this, right?
They do, which is why we do this podcast and why we have people like you to partner with, because like we can only do so much and you have such a strong message that like so many of our listeners need to hear. And this is the way that they hear it authentically, because like we can post, we can do all that stuff, but like they need to hear the authentic communication, like the authentic stories that we all have, including you. Like they need to hear that stuff.
The unfiltered side, where it comes from.
Exactly. The conversations, the conversations between other professionals that are implementing this type of stuff. Because, it's the stuff they can relate with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Can't
you
do
do
it
a great
alone.
job with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the way it's your business and it's fitness. And that's just such a unique path. And there's so much room to grow and for more people to kind of live that life and incorporate it. So I love that you can promote both, the healthy lifestyle and being, an entrepreneur and leading woman. That's awesome.
Kimmy, I got a question for you. We had you on the podcast and whatever. Like, is there some key takeaway or like something out of being on the podcast that you liked the most? Just out of curiosity.
Let me think. God, Graham, there was so much. And the whole conversation was empowering. Gosh, I think it was just really, when we talk about what we control in the universe and having gratitude and making it intentional of the life that we want to live. and be intentional of how do we tap into our inner power? How do we do that? And it starts again with communication. It starts with accountability. It starts with debunking old beliefs like, well, I'm not an athlete because I'm not 20 years old, right? That was a big takeaway, right? Like you can still do, excuse my language, this shit at, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s. I was training in the pool the other day because I swim at UNE, and there was a gentleman next to me. He's 83 years old. He's a master triathlon person that has won in his age group so many swim. 83. He was kicking ass in the lane next to me. I couldn't even keep up with him. 83. And like, this is what I'm taking away from this conversation that we have shared. It's like, and even like with you, Graham, you're like, yeah, I go to the gym, but you know what? I'm intentional because I can even do more at home. Right. And Trinity, you kind of talked about, going to the next level, not only with your business, but if you physically can also go to the next level, like the expansion is huge. Right. And Danielle, I love how you shared like just, where you had been in that apartment, with your little ones and like, where you are now and being the role model that you are at your age, flying in the air and saying, anybody can do this, right? And I'm still doing this in my 30s.
Yeah.
And I know what it
I love it.
feels like to have everything taken away. Grateful for that experience, but I'm so grateful for where I am now because that made me stronger. And yeah, look, world, this is what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. I'm curious, Kimmy, have you ever been on a podcast before? Just out of curiosity.
Yes.
Nice.
You are natural. You are so
Yeah.
natural at this. Like you, my friend, and I'll tell you this next week when we meet, but you are a natural motivational speaker for sure. Like I just, skills just all popped on this podcast, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!"
Yeah, you have a way of articulating what athleticism is to the everyday person in just your speech, and it's very motivating. And I would agree that it comes very naturally for you, where someone like me puts a lot of effort into it. So I love how freeing and easy that I would have to agree. You have a niche for speaking.
Well, thanks, guys. That means a lot. That is my next vision for myself. I'm
I
not
can see
there
that.
yet. I have some
You might be.
saboteurs that hold me back. But this really touches my heart because I have to rewire that part of my brain.
I think you're ready. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. There's a reason Trinity said that. You speak very well about your subject in a way that even for me, it was like, wow. I'll let her lead me a little.
It only takes one really good speech to be that. Like, we don't have to be a pro at everything, but you could literally take everything you said here and make that one speech. Like,
Fair.
I guess once it's out, we'll post it, we'll email you the link, and you could share it. But then you could sit down and literally take everything you say and create that one really big keynote speech from that, and right there, you're done.
Facts.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
You are.
Let's take our picture.
Yes.
I think we still have to take our picture.
Yep.
Okay.
Ready, Graham? 3, 2, 1.
And Danielle, I want to come do the aerial thing. And
yes. You would love it. Listen, when
I wanted to have Trinity. Have you done it?
You've got to tell me when you go, because when we moved to Rangeley, it was like the month before we moved, I got right into aerial with Danielle. And then for that full first year, I traveled down to Lewiston every Wednesday night and didn't get home till midnight. Yeah.
So you've done it.
Yeah, and not only has she done it, but she was even like in the newspaper with me about it. I knew an article was being done, and something in my soul was like, make sure it's Trinity that's there with you. And she really like took a hold of her health and wellness when she went to Rangeley, and like just did her thing, and now it's just like a normal part of her life. And so it's just really cool to
I think what Danielle
see that, and I love meeting you, knowing that you're the person that helps her be so independent in her athleticism. But yeah, you guys should come down.
Yeah. When you go, Kimmy, make sure you let me know. I'll go with you because I miss Danielle's. I miss Ariel. I miss it all. Miss it all.
Yeah, well,
Well,
we
I'm
miss
done.
you.
Let's get a date on the calendar. I'm coming down after this triathlon. The
Yeah.
tri is in Honolulu on the 18th of May. I know Trinity, you have travel the beginning of May, but maybe the end of May would be great.
Do
I
it.
have a show on June 1st. You can come see a show.
Yes, she does.
See a show.
It's like a lot of kids, but there's 16 acts going all the way up to adults.
Love it.
And it's a showcase. It's like a recital essentially, but for all my area list.
And then
Normally
after
I've had only
recital,
adults.
then
Huh?
Danielle, after the recital, do you still teach or do you shut down for a little bit?
Well, I mean, I could do a lesson after the show.
I
Yeah.
mean, not that day, but like I know some after
Oh, yeah,
recital,
I do
some
classes
dance
all
studios don't do classes for like a month.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I
she
do.
doesn't stop. She never
Okay,
stops.
you don't stop.
I'm gonna take 2 vacations this year or coming year. I promise myself, not only 1 but 2. But I have not even left me. All I do is work. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so,
We're
yes.
gonna get you more aligned. We will get you more aligned. I mean, it's the process, right? Like we have to
I'm
dedicate.
almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the mat yesterday, so I only need a little bit more to order the second one, but I was so scared. I was getting duped, but we finally got thick enough mats for the high ceilings that I have access to now.
Oh
So
my
it goes
God.
22 feet. Those mats are like well over $1,000 each. And I was like, this is a nonprofit. I'm
Yeah.
donating my time to. And then I have the equipment for my rig, which is 16 feet. So I was like, I need help. And it was so cool because I